Welcome, quilters! It's time for another template technique tip. Let's examine rotating around a center point in a block. I know what happens. You have this blank block in your quilt and you don't know what to do with it. Let me show you all the ways you can fill that block. All you have to do is be able to rotate around the center of the block with any number of different templates, and you will create some truly lovely designs. So, first thing you need to do is get some lines in that block. So right here you can see I have drawn in 8 points. So I've used my stencil, let's see, this one right here, that has 8 points. Now, if you don't have a stencil, you can use a ruler. You want your crosshairs and your diagonal lines, and that's how you get 8 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so this is our 8-point grid. We also have a 6-point grid. Which one is right for you? Wait till you see the examples and maybe you can make a decision from there. What I've done here is I'm working with my circle template. And I have already got 1, 2, 3 of them stitched in here. I work out of the center. When I am rotating around a center point, I work and I start by rotating around the center and starting and stopping in the center. So when I do that, I'm taking, this is a 4-inch circle. I'm taking and I am lining up my template and I'm setting it so that whichever line that I'm on, this is one of the diagonals, I am splitting the circle in half. Half the circle is on one side of the line and half the circle is on the other. If your template should have lines for you to line up with what you have marked on your block. Now this will work in piece blocks as well. It all depends on what you want to do, but I like to show it in the blank blocks because we all have trouble trying to decide what to put in those blank blocks. So now I've got my template lined up and I'm going to stitch a complete circle, starting in the center and returning to the center. Once I have returned to the center, I'm going to rotate my template to the next line. Okay, just like that. I want to make sure the top and the bottom, let me rotate this so you can see it. I want to make sure the top and the bottom is lined up on that line. That's what lets me put half a circle on one side of the line and half a circle on the other side of the line. Okay? We are again starting in the center and completing one complete circle. Rotate to the next axis, line up my template, and stitch again. Now it does not matter which direction you go, and if you get slightly off, when you get to the center, just get yourself re-centered. And this is it doesn't matter whether you go clockwise or counterclockwise. It really doesn't. Some people will do some one way and others the other way. Some will go all one direction. I have a particular quirk and we haven't figured out why I have that quirk, but I will do 7, if I'm doing an 8-point grid, I will do 7 of them one direction and the last one I always do the other direction. We haven't figured out why. But it just seems to happen. I don't think about it, but that's just what happens. You have a perfectly lovely design filling a block. And can you tell which one of those is clockwise and which ones are counterclockwise? Really, it doesn't matter which way you go. Go the way that is most convenient to you. So let's take a look at all of these different designs and different shapes that you can create designs with. Of course, we have the circles, and just so you get an idea, that is a 1-inch circle and an 8-point grid. This is a 2-inch circle and an 8-point grid. This one right here is a 3-inch circle and an 8-point grid, and there is a 4-inch circle and an 8-point grid. So you've got lots of options for filling in different lines. let's take a look at some more geometric shapes or more things you can do. This was one that I needed to fill the block a little bit more. So after I did my 8-point grid with the 4-inch circle, I added 1-inch circles going out. Let's take a look at ovals, because ovals will make perfectly lovely designs as well. So this is an 8-point grid using an oval, one size. Let's take a look at this one right next to it. So now, again, it is ovals and an 8-point grid, but it is not a circular design like this one right here is. What's the difference? This one uses all the same size, and this one uses a larger design and then a smaller. It's still an oval, but it gives you a square shape as opposed to a round shape. You need to decide what will work best in your design. Diamonds. So you can get an idea of the difference the look will be. This is an 8-point grid, and this is a 6-point grid. Which one will be best in your quilt will depend on what is going on in your quilt. This is a pentagon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here you can see the design using a 6-point grid, and this one is an 8-point grid. Take a look how the same shape can create a different look depending on how many times you rotate. Here is a hexagon. Here is the 6-point grid, and here is the 8-point grid. And here is an octagon. This is the 6-point, and this is the 8-point. So you can see how the geometric designs will give you very simple, very easy designs to create, but you can do so much more with this than just using geometric designs. All right, now let's take a look at some other shapes and how we can create different designs. Let's start by taking a look at this teardrop template. So it creates this particular look, a teardrop. Simple enough to do. Now take a look at how the design looks when we have the point faced out, rotating in an 8-point block, or with the point in, rotating around the block. You see how you have two different looks depending on which way you're going to have the template. Which one is faced towards the center, the point or the rounded edge. So now let's take a look at what happens when you have a template that makes multiple sizes of the same shape. So here I'm using the template, the teardrop template again. On the crosshairs, I'm using the medium and the small template. On the diagonals, I'm using the medium and the large template. Note that I'm filling a square, and it is the closest I'm going to get to a butterfly. You can create a wealth of designs by trying different shapes and different designs, all while rotating around a center point. Let's take a look at a petal shape. In this case, we have a design that has a point on one end and a rounded edge on the other. So here we have a 6-point grid and an 8-point grid. This means we stopped 6 times. Here we stopped 8 times. You can see how they look similar but different. Which one will work for you? That depends on your quilt. Now, because this template has a point on one end and a rounded edge on the other, like the teardrop one, you will get a different look if your point is to the center. Again, you get to decide which design works best for your quilt. Let's take a look at one of my favorite tools, my pointed leaf oval. Now this is a chain tool, and it was designed to create border designs. Lots of border designs. Does it mean it can't make block designs? No. You can rotate around a center point with anything and everything. Whether or not it makes a nice design, that's entirely dependent on a lot of variables. So let's take a look at this. Here we have taken that petal shape and we have flipped it over so that we start in the center and come back. And now we've rotated it 8 times. So take a look at its companion here. Again, we are on an 8-point grid, But note how this one is circular and this one is square. Again, it's because I've used two different sizes of the same shape. This is the longer shape or the larger shape on the diagonals and the smaller shape on the crosshair. This creates a square design that will fill your square, whereas this one creates a round design that will let you be able to put things in the corner if you would like. And then, of course, you know, if you want to feature your design, you can always use the tool and fill in those designs and have another look entirely. So this is just two samples when I was really bored at a show. So let's take a look at the Pointed Leaf 2. This is a similar shape to the previous one, but slightly different look. Again, designed to create border designs, but it's perfectly good to create block designs as well. And here you can see an 8-point grid. This is another 8-point grid, but I decided to add the little pieces on the outside as a 4-point grid. And here I decided to just use one side in a chain as a border. See how you have options? Lots and lots of options. Try using different sizes of the same shape, either all in the same area or on different axes. You can get lots and lots of different looks. It all depends on what you want your design to be. Let's take a look at the heart chain. Can it make a block design? You bet. So as you know, this heart chain was designed to create a chain of hearts, and you've seen what I've got. We've got a video on all the border designs you can do with it. But look at what you can do with the block designs. So here is a simple 8-point design using the heart. Here's the heart right here, and here it is right here. This is all the same size heart. This one, I tried something different. I put the large heart on the crosshair and a smaller heart on the diagonal. That worked pretty good too. So let's take a look at our mini heart. You know, this heart design is not designed to create a point. Nice little folk heart. And once again, we're going to rotate around a center point. And you can see the design that gets created. This is available out on our website. You can see how to do this. This is an 8-point grid. Now, this little guy creates this size heart. If you go to the larger heart, you can create and fill a larger block. The heart size is much, much bigger. And like the other tools that have one side looking one with a point and the other side being rounded, when I turn my heart upside down and rotate around it, we get a different look entirely. Much smaller and a much different looking design. So this one rotates on the valley of our heart, and this one rotates on the tip of the heart. See the difference? You don't even have to use the entire design. You can only use a portion of the design. So here, I am lining up my heart on the grid, and I'm lining it with it centered towards the center, but I'm only using a portion of the template. And while I may not be touching the center, I am still rotating around the center. Okay? So you can create lots of designs by rotating around a block. Let's take a look at another tool, a couple of tools that were designed to create border designs. These are the swags, designed to create the swag. Creates lots of chains, and if you've been in my class, Harnessing the Power of the Chain, you will know how many different things you can do with this. But now, if I take it and rotate around a center point with just two different sizes of the template, I have pinwheels. Okay? So I'm still rotating around the center and I'm creating the design, but certainly would you have ever believed this template would create that? And here I wanted to fill out a bigger area, so I simply did it twice. Play with your templates, quilters, play with your templates. Lots and lots of different designs. These are all rotating around a block. Yes, I'm creating a chain, but I'm rotating the chain around a block. The triangular swag, designed to create this swag chain, certainly creates lots of different designs for borders, but again, when you take it around a block and around a center point, you have yet another design. So here we had the triangular swag, and it creates all these lovely designs rotating around a block. I have a few more designs for you. I really cannot stress enough that just because you have a design that is meant to be a border doesn't mean it can't be a block design. These are the loop-de-loops, which were designed to create this border design, but since they also create the infinity chain, I can use them by rotating the infinity chain around the block, and I have another block design. See how simple that is? And this one, the pointed leaf, the pointed loop-de-loop, which creates these two border designs. These two border designs, when you rotate it around a block, there's the design you get to fill your block. Don't let your templates be limited to being only border designs. They might make lovely block designs. Be aware of different sizes. So this is the simple S shape, which is this template right here. It, when I rotate it, creates simple pinwheels. And when you go to larger sizes and smaller, you have more options. But be aware when you're going to the larger sizes, make sure you can get all the way around your block. I started on the diagonal and went to the corner and didn't have enough room. I needed a larger area. So check it out before you play with it. Even the simple tree design, you know how it's meant to be creating a border design, it can also create lovely block designs. So here the tree again has two different looks because the tip and the trunk make it look different. Here we're rotating on a 6-point grid with the tips to the center. And here we're rotating on an 8-point grid with the trunk to the center. You have lots and lots of options. And here we are simply using the individual branches rotated around a center point. By the way, yes, Spirograph was my favorite toy as a kid. I have one more example for you. I highly encourage you to step outside the box and think about using tools that you never thought could be used that way. These two tools are the wide rope tools, which the long armers use instead of the captured foot rope. That's another story entirely. But what I did was decide to use them by lining them up on the center and the line coming out. I stitched the stitch path. I flipped the tool over, relined it up the same way, and returned. I never imagined in 1,000 years that I would get such lovely designs using a tool that was never meant to be used that way. Step outside the box, give it a try. Now, if you don't want to try these on quilts, use them on the whiteboards, use them on paper, or use them on our design grids. Either way, test them out and see what you can get. You'll never know what kind of designs you have until you give it a try. Rotating around a center point will fill your block designs with any number of different designs. I hope you have fun with this template technique tips.